Do you own a craft brewery or work in the industry? If so, this video is for you. I'm going to be diving into a huge problem that I see. Poorly designed websites. Too many brewers have a poorly designed site, and that's costing you money. This is going to bother a lot of people, but it's the truth. Your website is a sales generator. It's not a work of art. For almost 2 decades, I used my website for a brick and mortar business as the primary sales generator. Not only have I given this a lot of thought, I've also had a massive amount of success. Like everything I do here, I want to help the people out there making great beer succeed. Let's start moving your brewery to the next and most successful phase ever. Sound like a plan?
I love that tone. Sounds good to me. My morale is lifted.
Craft beer market is in the midst of its biggest change, biggest growth and purge ever. This is normal. This is how an industry grows and evolves. You know that we used to have thousands of car manufacturers in America, but clearly the industry moved, matured. It's much different now. As a craft brewer, you've got to recognize where the industry is now, going through a massive shift, and then identify where it's going both locally as well as globally. You handle making a great product. I'm going to help you make business changes you need to succeed in this new reality that the craft beer industry finds itself in. But before I jump into things, let me introduce myself. My name's Trip, and I'm helping brewers of great beer market their way to their dreams. At the end of the day, here's the hard truth. You've got to pivot and adjust. Think about it. Does it make sense to continue doing the same practices over and over again, even though they're not working any longer? No, it doesn't make sense, and it's a recipe for disaster that many brewers are following. But what if you could make tactical changes, position your business, and market your products better? That makes more sense to me.
And let's do this.
Here's something you probably don't know about me. I've got a free newsletter designed to help craft brewers succeed. Here's the lowdown. I see many craft brewers leaving money on the table, and it's not your fault. You make great beer, but you may not have the marketing expertise needed to navigate these new conditions. So I want to show you how to market your way to success. How can you beat that? Here's what I'm doing for you. I'm sharing these 18 marketing principles that provide you, the craft beer, with a straight pathway to success. But that's not all. I'm also helping you use these marketing concepts, and it doesn't require much time or effort to generate enormous results. If you're thinking this is not anything special, think again. These marketing concepts are enough to change the trajectory of your business. Today, I want to highlight and discuss your website, which I have included in the online portion on my map to success. There are 2 parts to an effective website structure: design and content. If you're starting from scratch, put your content together first, then let that guide your design. On the other hand, if you've got a website already, let's improve the content. That's going to increase your sales and revenue.
It's time to make some money.
Here's the first move when it comes to content. Start with your homepage and think big picture. Then in the other various pages and sections of your website, you can do a deep dive into various topics. Here's what I mean. The homepage is broad strokes, and then in your subpages, you give them all the details. For example, let's say you brew 4 different IPAs. You could mention that on the homepage, but because it's an important part of your overall business, you'll also have an IPA subpage. Then under the IPA subsection, you have 4 more pages, one dedicated to each of your 4 different IPAs. Does that make sense? That's what I mean by deep dives into critical areas. Here's the scary part. I see brewers making the most significant website mistakes on their homepage. Your homepage needs to be built in the same manner that a reporter reports a story. If you think I've lost it, hold on. It's going to be crystal clear in a moment. From a reporter's standpoint, a good story provides the who, what, where, when, and why. A good craft brewer's homepage must also provide the same who, what, where, when, and why. Let me show you how this works and how to structure this content into your website. As we dive into things, let's start talking about the who, your name. This needs to be prominently displayed near the top, so it's easy to see both on a desktop computer as well as on someone's phone. I've got to tell you, my social media feeds me loads of different craft brewery websites, and I visited many of them. This is the second biggest error I see. I've often clicked on a craft brewery's website and can't figure out the name of the company as well as some other vital elements. The result, I'm now tasked with looking for your name. I click on an image or a can, or I scroll up and down. I think I missed something. Nope, it's not prominently displayed on your website. Do you think it's an intelligent business decision to make it difficult for visitors to find out the information they want and need? Of course not. But I see it. It's a regular problem. The next thing let's talk about is the what. The what should be tied closely to your name on your website. Those two things establish who you are. The next element would be the where. It can be tied in this top section. It's always got to be at the very bottom of not just your homepage, but every single page on your website. Don't lose sight of the power of the where. Ever since I was a little kid, I've known that Miller Beer was brewed in Milwaukee. Everybody knows Budweiser, they're headquartered in St. Louis. It's important to let people know exactly where you are. Now, if you've got a tap room or if you offer tours, it's only more important. You need to let people know exactly where you are. It's got to be on every page, and it needs to be clear and easy for them to find. So we've covered the who, what, and where. Now the when and why. I like to envision these as the bottom third of your homepage, and these need to be things that are going to be appealing to your potential customers. Now, let's be more specific. Let's imagine I've got a brewery, which I don't, but since my name's Trip, let's keep it simple. We'll call it Trip's Brewery. So that's my who, and it's prominently displayed at the top of my webpage. Now, you've got two options from a conceptual standpoint. For the what. It could be brewers of fine pilsners and stouts since 1990. There's option one. Or you can tie in your where into it. So for instance, let's say New York source for locally brewed pilsners and stouts since 1990. If you have been in business for a while, it's always nice to tie that in there. It establishes some credibility for your visitors. Now, I want to stay on the where. Trip's Brewery, I'm at 1260 6th Avenue. That happens to be Radio City Music Hall in New York City. Very important about this. Needs to be prominent at the bottom, not in teeny tiny type, and make sure it's linked to Google Maps. So if someone's on their phone, they want to come visit you, they can click on that and it will give them directions right to your doorstep. Make it easy for folks to come visit you. Now, let's get a little bit more specific about the when and why. This content should include upcoming events, on-site or off-site, when you have your tours, if that's something you do, any standing events like a food truck Fridays, music on Tuesday, or maybe a band. I'm a deadhead, so let's pretend a Dead & Company's coming to see me on Saturday. These types of activities and details, anything that you think would interest a potential customer, needs to be prominently there. Going to run through things again real quick. Remember, the who or the what, there's a couple of options where you might put your where. It can be up here, but it's always got to be down at the bottom here, bottom third, the when and why. And in this analogy, Trip's Brewing, couple of options if I want to include where I'm located, which is option 2, what's going on, food truck, concerts, tours, whatever it might be, where you're going to be at. And then down here is where your address will be. I like to recommend keeping it centered at the very bottom of the page with any other kind of small details you might have around there. Remember, you're going to tag it to Google Maps. Very important. When you put your address down there, that needs to be the same as it is everywhere, even down to situations like street. If I have in this situation, you see it says 1260 6th Avenue. Another way I could write that same address, instead of spelling out 6th, I could put 6th. Both are correct, but I can't interchange the two. Every single place you put your address, it needs to be the same. If I wanted to put 6th Avenue with avenue spelled out, that's always got to be the same. If you do it this way, it makes it much easier for Google to feel confident recommending where you are. One of the most important things Google wants to do for any brick and mortar business is know exactly where you are so they can help folks find you. This always needs to be consistent, that address at the bottom. So now we've talked about that when. I want to dive into the why. Why is the hardest part for some folks to wrap their head around, and here's something that'll help you think a little bit differently about it. Why is best shown in pictures. When you have events, make sure somebody's taking pictures, showing people actually experiencing what it is you offer in your brewery. That can be the front of the shop where you're selling your products, but also in the back end where you're making things. If you do this regularly in a short amount of time, you will have hundreds and hundreds of pictures. Now you can sort out the best pictures that deliver your why. And if you think about it, your why is very similar to some other brewers in your area. So just spelling it out in words doesn't make it nearly as effective as putting it in pictures. I'm guessing your why is we have great beer served at a great place which delivers a great time for you and your friends. Are you starting to see how your products, when you incorporate them with pictures and people using your product, enjoying your product, is going to create a why, a person who's visiting your website, and it allows them to formulate virtually experience it. Yeah, taking the pictures, it's a pain. But I can promise you, if you do this regularly and use the right pictures, it will pay out 1,000-fold in your effort. It will help your business grow and thrive. Remember, we've got to do some things differently nowadays. This is one of them. Now you need to sit down, clear your head, view your homepage as if you're a new potential customer who knows absolutely nothing about your business and your product. Never been there. Are they getting and seeing and experiencing everything you want them to, particularly all the important things we covered?
Here's what's going to make the difference with that critical eye. You need to determine if your homepage is delivering those who, what, where, when, and why. And it's critical that you look for errors that might be in your website right now. And don't give your homepage the benefit of the doubt. If something you think isn't quite as good as it should be, it's not. Make the changes now because they do pay off. That's one thing you need to do. The other, if you've not yet done so, go ahead and sign up for my newsletter. Here's the address to go ahead and do that. And make sure you follow me here on. This way, I can deliver marketing tips and ideas directly to you in depth. Information that has both the ideas and the how-to and ways to implement them. Let's work together to navigate these new and difficult times and make this the best year ever. I look forward to seeing you on my mailing list. See you there.